think that's it. Okay. Now I guess I'll clean these off. So I'll be right back. Pause. Okay. I'm back. I cleaned all the gears, all the pivot points, and put it back together because it takes forever, and I spent like I don't know how many hours putting this thing back together. So that is that. So now it's time for the news, if you don't mind.
It all starts with the Chevy truck.
Yeah. Okay.
Welcome to another day in hell, and it's only getting worse. It's not going to get better.
Come on, California is a great.
It's not going to get better. Not going to get better. And I think people know that. And
what about when we focus on the real enemy, China? Finally.
Yeah. The people in charge are maniacs. The people in charge are not the adults in the room. The people in charge it's the mafia, right? And you know how the mafia thinks that they're the grown-ups in the room. That's just what anybody would do if they were in charge. This is what men do.
Men of honor.
This is what the people who are in charge of our country think, right? And so here's a perfect example. So I don't know if you watched the State of the Union. It was hard to watch. It was an old demented man hopped up on some kind of drugs.
Yeah.
And he was screaming most of the time. And there was agreement on most stuff from both sides of the aisle, especially the worst stuff. That's the great. My favorite thing is they agree on the worst things. And you want to know what they agree on? They agree on this. Here's his main thing. This is the thing he leads with. This is the thing he wants. Here we go.
Putin of Russia is on a march, invading Ukraine and sowing chaos throughout Europe and beyond. If anybody in this room thinks Putin will stop at Ukraine,
this was the first thing
I assure you he will.
What?
This is the first thing he brought up?
This is the first thing he brought
At
up.
the State of the Union. Is this State of a...
Well, first he called Trump, Hitler compared that, and 1941, and all this stuff.
Oh, okay, but he didn't... Because State of the Union, your opening line's about Ukraine. That's like...
This is his opening salvo is about Ukraine.
Putin of Russia is on a march, invading Ukraine and sowing chaos throughout Europe and beyond. If anybody in this room thinks Putin will stop at Ukraine, I assure you he will not.
So, before I was born, they were doing this. This is called the domino theory.
Yeah.
This is that if we don't stop communism in South Vietnam, it's going to then spread all over Southeast Asia, all the way, it's going to come here. And so we got to stop it there. If we have to do everything we can to stop it there.
Oh, I think I see
And
a
so
problem
that's why we
here.
did.
There we go.
Through
Fist.
4 different presidents, they lied to us about Vietnam. And they got somewhere around 60,000 soldiers killed and how many countless maimed. And so they're doing it again. So this is what they always do.
Oh, by the way, Vietnam won the war, was stayed communist. They're doing fine today. You never hear any problems about Vietnam. They've actually been great ever since we had no influence over them.
And so that's right. And so here they are doing it again. So here, this is called and the United States' interest in Ukraine, in actuality, is nothing. There's no interest for the American people in Ukraine. Ukraine started this war, provoked it. They were shelling and killing thousands and thousands and thousands of people in the Donbass, and Putin invaded to stop that war, not start a war. So this is just like Iraq's weapons of mass destruction. This is just like Libya. This is just like Saddam Assad is gassing his own people. This is just like 20 years in Afghanistan. Nobody even knew who the bad guys were. The important thing isn't to win the war, it's to keep it ongoing. This is why they allowed Joe Biden to pull out of Afghanistan, because they had this war ready. And so Joe Biden is a psychopath. These people are all sociopaths and psychopaths. Mike Johnson, same thing.
Yeah.
These people are, they agree on the worst ideas.
Well, when they're conquering the world, Jimmy, it's the great game. They call it the game. You know, you're playing the game. The great game is the official title that all these people learn about. As soon as like somebody does anything to their power structure, it's all of a sudden morals and like
Norms?
the soul and norms and freedoms. And not a game. This is not a game.
So this is the thing that Joe Biden really wants to do, is fund the Ukraine war. Why? Because that's what the billionaires who control him really want to do. They're not going to do anything for you. They're not going to clean up hopelessness. They're not going to take that. They got another $60 billion in the chamber, ready to be shot out of a cannon into the oligarchs' pockets in Ukraine, because it's not helping regular people.
It's not to win the war.
And it's not to win the war. It's that you can't win this war.
It's pricier to do your illegal operations during this war, I imagine. So probably bigger payoffs you got to do.
And so they're not going to shoot $60 billion at America. $60 billion. You know, it costs like $1 billion to build a new sports stadium. Imagine if all the jobs that would be created if in 60 of the biggest cities in America, they decided to build $1 billion sports stadium. Imagine all the jobs that would be created.
Sorry.
Imagine if they decided to build $60 billion worth of community centers or $60 billion worth of homes to put homeless people. And because let's remember, 40% of homeless people actually have jobs. Imagine if they put $60 billion into mental health facilities. So you wouldn't have deranged people on drugs running wild on the streets. Imagine if they put $60 billion into that. Just once. Just one time. Imagine if they did that just one time. They'll never do that. He doesn't even bring it up. It didn't even get brought up what to do about homeless people. It didn't even get brought up. It didn't even get brought up what to do about when Ronald Reagan decided to close all the mental hospitals and explode the homeless population with the mentally ill, which is what happened in the 80s. There wasn't a homeless problem before then. They used to call them bums.
Hobos.
Hobos.
You could ride
and then after Reagan, it was a real problem because there was mentally ill people and they were everywhere. And now it's working people who are one illness away from being homeless. And so he has this and abortion. So I'll play this and then we'll talk about it. Hold on, let me play it
Putin
again.
and Russia's on the march, invading Ukraine and sowing chaos throughout Europe and beyond. If anybody in this room thinks Putin will stop at Ukraine, I assure you he will not.
And guess what? Why doesn't Europe do something? If that's the case, which it's not. Putin has no interest in going anywhere else.
I also don't care if he did.
And let's say he did. Isn't that Europe's problem?
Yeah.
Europe can't take care of this problem? Germany and the UK and France and every other goddamn country over there.
How many Israels do we have?
What, isn't there a NATO? Why can't NATO? Why does the United States have to fund this unilaterally? But this doesn't make, again, even if I take your premise, which I don't. Nobody goes, hey, what the fuck is Europe doing? Because Europe knows this is bullshit. That's my theory. They know this is bullshit. They know the United States blew up the Nord Stream pipeline, which is cratering their economy, and is making Germans and Germany, which is supposed to be the economic engine of Europe, pay 4 times the rate for energy that they were before. But they tell you that Putin and Russia blew up their own pipeline.
Yeah, they did. Why
Because they know you're stupid, and they know if you believe what they told you about COVID, and what they told you about Russiagate, and what they told you about Iraq and Syria and Libya and the banking crisis, if you believe that stuff, you believe anything. And they do. People do believe it.
Yeah. Why would I not trust their word? The people that have never once told me
Ever.
the truth.
Ever.
One time that I can think of in my
So
life.
if you're for censorship and you call yourself a Democrat, this is nothing but misinformation. This is nothing but lies. This should be censored by your standards. I don't want anything censored, but this should be. But if you're for censorship, this is nothing but lies and misinformation.
Man, what
So
cocktail
here we
is
go.
he on to be able to speak this?
That's
clear?
right.
Ukraine,
And he's with them. He's with them.
Ukraine can stop Putin.
What?
Now that's a lie. Ukraine cannot stop Putin.
You just said you can't.
Ukraine is now, they're now putting mentally challenged people, conscripting them into the military and putting them on the front lines to die.
Yeah.
Do we show you the picture of the average age of a Ukraine fighter? Because they wiped out all the rest of them.
It's 50 now, Jimmy. It was 43 at the time of that. It's now 50.
It's now 50.
It's now 50. Oh my God.
And they lie to you. They tell you only 36,000 Ukrainians were killed. Hundreds of thousands of Ukrainian soldiers have been slaughtered.
And maimed for life, though. You got
And this
rise
is-
to 500,000 or more when you think of the.
So
issue.
that's a lie. Ukraine cannot stop Russia. That's not happening. Everyone knows that. Except you, the morons who watch cable news and read the New York Times and the Washington Post. That's where you get your news from. And that's why you believe that.
Jimmy, if Joe Biden were any older and dumber, he could be drafted at the front lines in
Okay,
Ukraine.
Ukraine, that's so funny.
Ukraine can stop Putin if we stand with Ukraine.
That is not true. And what they're doing is saber rattling with the nuclear power. These guys want a nuclear war. That's what it feels like.
Yeah.
Because then they can justify war forever. They don't have to worry about getting the 60 billion. They don't have to lie. They don't have to twist. They just go nuclear war.
Well, it's better we provoke him into that, because if we don't provoke him first, he'll just do the same thing to us.
That's right.
So we have to be 3 times as evil as we claim Putin is.
And provide the weapons that need to defend itself. My message to President Putin, who I've known for a long time, is simple. We will not walk away.
Well, why anyone in America gives a shit about the most corrupt country in the world, Ukraine,
Oh, because
who provoked this war by endless shelling of the Donbass, turned down 2 peace accords, the Minsk Accords. They didn't abide by it, and then there was a peace deal on the table a month after the war started that Putin was willing to accept. Ukraine advisors were all willing to accept. Their negotiators said they would accept it. Who didn't? Zelensky. Because NATO told him, if you take it, we're going to kill you. And so here we are 2 years later with a war. These are sociopaths. This is sociopath. And the people who comment on this on cable news are also sociopaths.
It's their job. It's how you get hired. You can't keep the
If
job.
they had a conscience and integrity, they wouldn't be doing that job.
Look at them all applauding. If that doesn't make you way more upset than stupid fucking
They're not- he didn't-
January 6th, you are a moron.
He didn't lead with, hey, we got to really tackle the economic problems of the Americans. People are really hurting in this country. 90% of Americans have medical debt. We got to fix that. People can't afford their medicine. We got to fix that. He didn't lead. This is what he leads with. And this is what they all agree on. Why? Because they're all corrupt. Because your government is more corrupt than you can believe. You think they're in there doing the bidding of workers and senior citizens and students? They're in there doing the bidding of the handful of billionaires that actually run this world.
Look at that ocean of great people.
And if you know how Jeff Bezos owns the Washington Post here in the United States and Amazon? I did a podcast yesterday from Norway. He owns the media in Norway. Did you know that?
Nice.
Did you know that? One of the richest billionaires in the world.
Does Norway
So
know?
this is international. These billionaires are international. WEF. They have filled all the cabinets with their minions. You don't live in a democracy. You live in an oligarchy. And this speech almost made me puke. It's so disgusting. The 2 big things Biden really excited about: war with Russia and abortion. Those are his 2 big things.
I mean,
Gonna have an abortion in every garage.
Finally, how are you gonna get these incels to fucking make the kids do abort? That's what I don't get.
We will not bow down. I will not bow down.
And so this is the culmination of Russiagate, which I tried to tell those fucking blockhead moron assholes at the Young Turks
Hey, come on.
for 4 straight years. I tried to tell them, when you repeat CIA talking points and you trash Julian Assange, this is leading to a war with Russia, and this is the culmination of it. This is it. You got it. You get your war with Russia. That's what they always wanted. That's what Russiagate, that's what this is all leading to. And here we are. The
don't
biggest
remember.
blood-soaked warmonger
I know it's something
around.
like this.
Sitting there screaming, we're gonna go after Russia.
How do people like this educated in just history? You know, like, I understand when I talk to some moron friend of mine that doesn't know anything about anything. These are the one went to the best schools.
Who?
And these people here saying domino theory. They're
Because they're sociopaths.
Yeah.
You think
doesn't it strike you as ironic that
Gotta look at my
Well, it's cool.
pictures.
They're all
I know it
ghouls.
goes in there, in between there.
So,
Remember from before?
I watched the rest of it on 1.75 speed.
I remember from before, but I don't
It is just painful.
remember.
I just couldn't. It was just one bullshit lie after another bullshit lie after another bullshit lie.
How?
And there's no relief in it for the American people. Your lives are not going to get better. Your lives
Or
are only going
where
to get
it
worse.
goes.
It's only going to get
in
harder.
there.
You know, the little bit I watched of it, the
there
only
we
thing
go.
that I really care about is healthcare. That's really the only thing that I care about.
Wow.
No wars and healthcare. And you know, I have all my friends and their parents are aging, and everybody is scrambling to care for their parents
That's right.
now. And you know, look at all those elderly people in Congress right now. They have the best healthcare. In the meantime, they don't have a word to say about healthcare for our fathers and mothers. Nothing.
Or anybody. So his whole thing was promising them abortion rights. How about you
Oh.
promise them health care? You ever think about that? You ever try to promise Americans
that's
health care?
amazing.
That they're going to promise you abortion. And that to me, and that's the thing that any good Christian would do. That's what Jesus would do. The first thing he would do is not give you health care and a living wage. What Jesus would do is promise you that you could abort your baby. Hey, why don't you promise them a universal inclusive health care that includes reproductive health? How about that? No, abortion. That's it.
Most people don't want an abortion. They just have to get one because they can't afford to raise a goddamn kid on their own. That's the number one reason is if you could have health care
No,
with the
don't
kid.
go up
How many
here.
more? I love your two choices are the right wing. No, you have to have the baby and just be poor and try to work it out. I don't know. I don't care. And the other one is go ahead and kill all of the babies. But either way, you're not getting health care. You're not getting any health
We're
care.
not getting health care from either of them. And let me disabuse you of the idea. People go, oh, after COVID, you still want the government to run health care? Did you think the government
Yes,
ran health care during
actually.
COVID?
What in the fuck? Someone said that to you?
I say it all the time. Did you think government was running health care? Have you been sick? Do you think government runs your health care?
Oh.
You know who runs your health care? Is a capitalist that's in between you and your doctor.
I want Pfizer to just take the
I
rest
want to
of
get
the
I want to get the
okay.
capitalist out of in between me and my doctor.
Goes.
And so, you know, my parents, I'm not on Medicare. My parents had Medicare. You know, when they went to their doctor, it wasn't a government doctor. It was the same doctor they went to their whole life. It's just the person paying the bill went from Blue Cross to Medicare. What's the most popular healthcare system in the country? Medicare. And people who claim that somehow government is going to run my health, at least I can vote
There
them
it
in or
goes.
out.
Right there.
At least I can vote. If I don't like
Pictures,
by the way,
everybody.
they don't run the healthcare. The
Pictures.
hospitals are still
They
owned privately. My doctor is still a private
I believe
doctor.
there was a spring on
It's just
this.
that when I go there, the bill
So I
doesn't.
remember
some
from
of
before.
the bill doesn't get paid by Blue Cross, which they don't pay when they just don't feel like it. It goes to the government pays. It's not the government. So if you think that, you're being propagandized. You're being propagandized, if that's what you think. And they don't talk about Medicare for all on MSNBC. If this is some big lefty, they don't want it on MSNBC. They don't want it on CNN either. Why? Because they're owned by big pharma and health insurance companies and billionaires. That's why. The only place you hear people advocating for Medicare for all is places like this.
You want the government to run the military? That's just like right-wing dipshit old talking points, usually for boomers from a while ago. Friends of mine will say that, and because they haven't thought of a new argument on that. That was settled science to a lot of right-wingers for a long time. That of course we want to keep pouring money into wars and not healthcare. Of course we want to do that. At this point, it's absurd. It's absurd. The money that they're going to give, they're going to give
Ukraine. Imagine if they took the money they're going to give Ukraine and Israel.
We could all have fake tits. Every man, woman, and child could have
Everybody
fake tits
can have
tomorrow.
housing.
And have it
Everybody
taken
can
out.
have housing.
And then bigger ones put in. And then taken out again.
We could. Everybody can have housing. We can have mental health hospitals.
I
for
didn't
the
catch that
mentally ill,
before.
and you can have
Everyone could have
hospitals
big,
for the
bigger
people who are on
tits,
drugs.
fake
You can
tits.
clean up your streets, is what I'm telling you.
Kurt.
Instead, we have two options: die, or we'll put you in prison. Those are the two options now in America. And Joe Biden doesn't, and they don't. These people don't give a shit.
I know.
And the people who cover them don't give a shit. And the people who donate to them and own them don't give a shit.
I don't like to talk about it, but my retirement plan is to commit a low level enough crime to get health care in my old age.
Yeah.
My favorite moron quote, which is, the problem with socialism is eventually you run out of other people's money to spend.
What do you call this?
That's the same problem as Ukraine. What a coincidence. The problem with Ukraine and socialism is you're running out of other people's money. Well, who'd have thought that that's a problem all through society somehow?
I'm putting a lot of my money, my retirement money, into precious metals, gold and silver. Why? Because lots of people I trust with money, Max Kaiser's one of them. He's a
Okay. Some more news.
Looking for a quick and strong lighter? The perfect one is here to blow your mind. This new incredible electric dual arc torch is the ultimate.
Do you think President Trump just thinks he's in too deep now to come out and say anything against?
So I've been, so Jimmy, you're forcing me out of the shadows on this one. Because I'm busy talking to various, let's say, conservative influencers that have a line to the gentleman about what the heck do we do with his recent posting on Truth Social, in which he came out and endorsed the jab so heavily, talked about how it's now curing cancer.
Yeah.
What job he did. That any ridiculed Biden and basically taunted him, saying that Biden wouldn't have had a jab, he didn't say that, a vaccine product, if Trump hadn't done everything that he had done. So with this one post that dropped, I think the day after the infamous State of the Union address, Mr. Trump created just a shitstorm among the people that have been basically holding their nose and saying, I'm going to vote for Donald Trump instead of RFK because Trump, even though we don't like the fact that he is responsible for the jab, he is a better manager, he is knowledgeable, he's a potential wartime president, he's going to be able to fight the deep state more effectively, all this relative to RFK. And so there's a whole cohort of conservatives that are now in a real bind because of this tweet from Mr. Trump. And you just put the pin in it when you said, well, what's going on here, and why this and why this issue. There's three observations, and I'm not in Donald Trump's head either, thank God, so I don't know what he's thinking. But it did sound like he was reacting to some of the things that he heard in the State of the Union address that pissed him off.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I just
Hang on,
Googled.
It also came right after Super Tuesday. And so a case can be made that he felt that he was now on safe ground because he passed through the Super Tuesday funnel. Not that that was ever going to be that much of a filter for him. And so he could let his hair down a little bit, so to speak. Yeah, thanks for the laugh. That was gratuitous, but I'll take it. And I'm not a comedian, so forgive me, Jim. It did come right after Super Tuesday, and it just reeked of a big pharma donor. So I don't know what the motivation was here. I don't know what the backstory is. I just know that as somebody who has been cautiously walking a tightrope in this space, believing that Mr. Trump is the best option currently to address the huge problems we have with the deep state right now, and the World Health Organization and the WEF. Remember, he bravely took stances then that he was ridiculed for that now, in retrospect, look prescient. They look like they were brilliant.
Yeah.
And very much foreshadowed where we're at right now. So there's a lot, as far as I'm concerned, there's a lot to like about Mr. Trump. I haven't endorsed anybody, but I've been carefully walking a line in case I get called to duty at some future conservative administration. I don't want to piss anybody off. But then he came out with this posting, and it not only was a problem for me, because I've been speaking favorably of him, despite my strong position regarding the ethics and the lack of scientific
should have counted that.
merit, in my opinion, for continuing with this product. But I'm still perplexed about why
2,
and about
3,
what can be done to
4,
help Mr. Trump
5,
to see through the propaganda
6,
and to see,
7,
for instance, the vaccine
8.
injury, and recognize
1,
that
2,
they're there,
3, 4,
to see
5,
the damage
6,
that has been caused by this,
7,
and this set of policies. And to what is most bizarre is that he functionally, with this statement that these mRNA products are now curing cancer, he functionally endorsed both the industry and Peter Marks at the FDA, who's been behind a lot of shenanigans, because Peter Marks is advocating that we have another Operation Warp Speed for cancer.
1.
Runnings has earned the reputation for quality brands, fair value, and hometown-friendly service, and now bringing those same values to you. Runnings is proud to live, work, and serve in 80 local communities across the Midwest, the Northeast, and America's heartland. Runnings is your new home, farm, and outdoor store.
3, 4, 5, 6.
Your future is too bright to
7.
blend in.
Yeah.
At Impact Christian Academy, you'll become who you were created to be.
Through better academics, better community, and better character.
Okay.
Discover impact. Discover your future.
That's good.
So then your kid, I didn't know this. So Peter Marks at the FDA is saying, by the way, did he already work for Pfizer?
He's the one that Peter Corey
All
told
right.
us was like, we do this just
Oh.
to do it, work on these viruses. Was not him?
I'm not sure, maybe. So
We got to put
Go
it in
ahead.
here, and this ought to be fun.
Yeah, so Marks has had a charmed
This
career.
ought to. My battery ran out, so apologies for that. Apologies for that. I wasn't paying attention, so. But that's okay. I was just putting in the chain, so now I'm ready to put in the bellows. So remember the bellows from before? they were glued in. Well, we're not going to glue those in again. Well, I mean, they're screwed in, of course, but usually there's a nail that holds it in place, so that's what I'm gonna do. I got some, I think I showed you this before, I got some nails, small nails from railroad tracks. Okay, 0.90, so anything smaller than 89. Don't know. I think I got one. Oh yeah, easy. Here, right here. This will work just fine. $70. Yeah, that'll work great. Okay. So I pop my battery out because I don't want it to go dead on me. That away. Tiny little drill bits, and I just got some. I just ordered some more little bits, and see, maybe this one might be even smaller, huh? I don't know. It looks smaller. I'll use that one. I just need to make a hole, put the nail in, I drive the nail in. So. And what was I saying? Just got some bits, some drill bits. I ordered, I didn't order them yet, but I'm going to order them, is some taps, tiny little taps. I'm gonna order. Yeah, I need my drill. I wish I had. Oh yeah, I think the taps come with a pin vise too. I think. I hope my drill will even fit this. Nope, I'm gonna have to get my Dremel out. I gotta get my Dremel. Put that there so I don't, on my Dremel, whatever. That should be good. All right. Oh, I should have. Yeah, that's bent. I need to straighten that. Need to straighten that. Go get me put that in the drill. Clean that off. That's the pendulum there. Put that in the drill. If I can. I think I can. Not too tight, just tight enough to spin it. Got my steel wool. There we go. Good. That's good. Okay, that's going in later. Gonna do the bellows. Okay. Well, which one is which? Do you remember? Cool, that one, this, the bottom one. And I tell you, it is really, really tight in this thing. I hope I got this right. Man, I hope I got this right. just fell in the spot. Okay. Of course. Why would you want to work? That would be ideal. There we go. Boom. Now it won't go anywhere. Yeah. Hope this works and don't get jammed up. Oops, forgot. Oh my gosh. Oh, neat.
You know what I mean?
Yep,
For what?
because that's what I did on that one.
Okay, I'll sit on live for you. Okay, bye.
Okay, bye. Get on there. Yeah, when they put this together, they didn't even put the screw in straight. I guess they were working on a Monday or a Friday to wanted to get out. Wanted to get out of the factory, I guess. I don't know. That or they worked second shift, because put the screw in right. There we go. Yeah. Okay, now we put the pendulum in. Pendulum. Put the pendulum in. Oops. I'm a goof. Oh boy. What's the matter with myself? Gotta put it through this thing. There we go. Oh, that's why. What happened? Why it no worky? Why no worky? Why no worky? Go back. Go back in. Why doesn't that want to go back in? I don't want to take this apart again. Well, that one doesn't seem like it wants to work very good, huh? It should. Can barely hear it. Get back in there, bird. Mm-hmm. Do it again. Oops. Whoops. Try to see what's going on in here. Huh. Well, that's weird. I know it was working before. Let me take that out. There's something wrong with that bellows. Oh no. I like it.